If you're here illegally, don't answer any questions about your immigration status. Now, officers are not supposed to ask, but you and I both know some do it anyway. Now, immigration consequences. If you have a non-immigrant visa, or you have a green card or applying for a green card, the 2-year conditional green card, or renewing your green card, or you want to apply for citizenship, U visa, or removal, let's talk about how a DUI can ruin your immigrant life.
Calificas para ser legal, quieres saber, solo llama al abogado Andrés Mejer.
To have immigration consequences, you first have to be convicted. An arrest is just that, an arrest. The state has to prove each of the 3 elements beyond a reasonable doubt. Remember, operating a motorized vehicle in a public road while under the influence of drugs or alcohol, beyond a reasonable doubt. It's your attorney's job to find doubt. That's it. In the US, you're considered innocent until proven guilty. Even if you're an immigrant, you have the same rights as I do. However, if you are arrested and you brought to a county jail, even if it's just for a few hours, ICE could very well be there. ICE is in Monmouth County and in Cape May still today. Most other county jails in New Jersey, they're not, but every state is different. If you're interviewed by ICE, you will likely be put in removal proceedings, you will be detained, and you'll be transferred from whatever county jail you are to Essex County Jail or to Elizabeth Detention Center. One of those are the 2 locations where ICE detains immigrants today in New Jersey. Now you gotta remember, it is incredibly difficult to get bonded out of jail today. Most immigrants, in fact, aren't getting bonded out. Immigration judges are deciding that the immigrants are a danger to the community just because they're accused of a crime. So this results in more deportations because immigrants don't want to wait in jail for months, or they can't put together a good defense when they're in jail. They need to get out in order to work to pay the attorney or to gather documents to prove their case. Sometimes if they don't have family, how are they going to do that? It's very difficult for them. You need help, and sometimes you don't have it if you're detained. So the problem is, if you're accused of a crime and you find yourself in removal proceedings, often your immigration case is going to get adjudicated faster than your criminal case. It's crazy, I know. That's life today in 2020. Now, why would you be in county jail, which is usually reserved for serious crimes, when you're arrested for a DUI that New Jersey considers a traffic offense? Now, simple. You have prior history, you have prior crimes, or you're accused of DUI and crimes. For example, resisting arrest, giving fake documents. You know, that license that you got as a joke because you were under 21? Guess what? Officer doesn't find it so funny. You lied to the officer about your real name. You know, they think you're smart. You pull over. What's your name? Jorge Gonzalez. Okay, Jorge, how are you? And then they go and ask your girlfriend, and they ask her, what's your name? And she says, well, that's Fernando Gonzalez. You just lied to the police officer, and they proved it. You're screwed. But let's say you did everything that you should have. You don't have any prior crimes. Well, you could have unpaid parking tickets, you could have unpaid child support, or you could have had to appear somewhere and you didn't, or you can have an order of deportation. Any one of those are reasons why you might be arrested. Now, to have immigration consequences, it doesn't matter how drunk you were. All that matters is you were drunk or under the influence. So New Jersey, first offense, it actually makes a difference the level of alcohol that you have in your blood. They measure it 0.08 to 0.10. That's called a tier 1 offense. 0.10 to 0.15, a tier 2 offense. 0.15 and up, 0.3, a tier 3 offense. Now, most attorneys will tell you, hey, I got you from a tier 3 to a tier 1, which means instead of getting a 12 months loss of license, you get a 3 months loss of license. Now, I know in December that's changed, but for purposes of conversation, let's assume it hasn't changed yet. They'll say that's fantastic news. Look, if you're an immigrant, that's not fantastic news. What do you care? Conviction is a conviction, number one. Number two, if you don't have a license, the fact that they suspended it for less time, it's not going to help you. Don't fall for it. If you're not a U.S. citizen, do not plead guilty to any DUI. Now look, New Jersey implemented new sentencing guidelines in December. So just last month. For your first DUI, you can now install an ignition interlock device and not get your license suspended at all. But hey, that could be a great result, maybe, if you're a U.S. citizen. I don't think it's a good result. You're convicted of DUI. You're going to be paying out your nose for years, and you could still lose your CDL. You could lose security clearances. You could lose your job. There's a lot of problems with a conviction to a DUI. But for an immigrant, you got all of those. Plus, you can be placed in removal proceedings. So call a good attorney before you plead guilty. Make sure you get your situation reviewed. Don't do it. Now, non-immigrant visa. You could be inside the U.S. or outside the U.S. For example, you're here as a student, or you're here as a tourist, or you have an H-1B visa. So you could be in the U.S., be convicted. You could lose your visa. I have a client from Virginia that was traveling to New Jersey, working on his graduate degree, student visa, accused of a crime. USCIS automatically revoked his visa right away. Or it could be they don't automatically revoke. You leave the U.S., let's say you finished the school year, you go back to your home country for summer vacation, you want to come back. Now, when you come back, they fingerprint you, they find your conviction, they deny your entry and cancel your visa. So, doesn't matter where the conviction happened, it could even happen in your home country. If they discover that you're a criminal, you have immigration consequences. Now, what if you had your green card or applying for one? Doesn't matter if you have a permanent green card or the 2-year green card, or you're applying to renew your green card, or you want to apply for your green card for the first time because of an employment petition, a family-based petition, or a humanitarian petition like asylum, U visa, or VAWA. If you have a green card, any of those, or are seeking it, one DUI by itself likely will not disqualify you. Obviously, it doesn't help you. It's a negative factor. But one DUI by itself usually does not result in deportation and usually does not result in denial of your petition. It depends. It's fact specific. However, like I explained a couple of weeks ago, Attorney General then USCIS made a decision October 25th, 2019, and USCIS followed that. If you have 2 or more DUIs, you are not a good and moral person. Every single petition you file has a requirement you're a good and moral person. So if you have 2 or more DUIs, there's a presumption you're not a good guy and you don't deserve this petition. You can rebut that with evidence, but now you got to defend it. Now you have to explain it. Now, instead of being in a positive light, they see you in a negative light. And now you're starting from a deficit and trying to build back up. So let's look at an example. Imagine you got your green card in 1999. You were convicted of shoplifting, which is a crime of moral turpitude. Now, immigration could have picked you up right then and then, but for whatever reason, they didn't. So you could leave the U.S. and come back. Now you're a arriving alien, and they find it, they put you in removal proceedings. Or imagine that didn't happen either. But now you're charged with a DUI. ICE, now you're on ICE's radar. They find a prior conviction. They can pick you up at home, at court, or at work, or anywhere in between, and put you in removal proceedings. And now you got a problem because you have an old crime and a new one. So, applying for a green card, like I said, employment, family, humanitarian reasons, like the conditional green card or a renewal, a single DUI doesn't automatically disqualify you. 2 or more is a problem. But really, it also matters when it happened. So let's say you had 2 DUIs and they were both 15 or more years ago. You can show that you're rehabilitated. Now, what happens if you were convicted 15 years ago and then convicted again 2 months ago? Well, it's going to be you're going to have a hard time showing you're rehabilitated when you just committed the same crime again. That's a big no-no and doesn't help you. Now, what if you're applying for U.S. citizenship? Well, like a green card, you have to prove you're a good moral person. The government will look is there anything in your past that disqualifies you. So look, you're convicted of killing someone, you're screwed. No one can help you in that scenario. You're going to be removed and you're going to be deported. But what happens if it wasn't so significant back then, but it is now? Again, you could very well have a problem. But the biggest difference between citizenship and the green card process is what's called the look-back period. So if there isn't something in your past that automatically disqualifies you and will result in your removal, they'll say, hey, are you a good moral person? So for citizenship purposes, there's a look-back period of 3 years or 5 years. Which do you say? Well, if you got your green card based on marriage to a U.S. citizen, the look-back period is 3 years. So from the date I file, they will look back 3 years. If you got your green card any other way, so employment-based, your parents applied for you, asylum, U visa, investor visa, doesn't matter how. That means immigration is going to look back the past 5 years and see, is there something that makes you not a good moral person? A single DUI during the 3 or 5 year look back period could result in a denial. It depends on the circumstances. 2 or more, you got a problem. Make sure you discuss it with a good immigration attorney before filing that. Otherwise, you might just be wasting your time. So if you have any questions, give us a call. Subscribe to our channel. We're here for you. Thank you very much. I'm Mejer. Until next time.